Hi, this is Solo P1. This is Debrief episode 4 of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend. Today, as always, I am joined with my co-Qs, my partner in crime. We have TOTO, Ama. How's it going, bro?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Well, all the socials are going good. F1 weekend, of course, is going all right. And, let's get into this debrief.
Listen, at the end of it's late. At the end of the day, look, you're getting there. You're getting there. I saw a few people on Twitter, some big names liking your videos, liking your comments. There was a 7-time world champion on there, Degata driver, who influencer. You got people watching you, man. You got the eyes on you, and you're gonna grow because you're young. You're gonna grow, and this is what I want to see. I like seeing the young generation come up and grow on this YouTube channel and on Twitch, whatever platform you use. I want to see everybody grow. Everybody needs to grow. That's what it is. Because you're at the top. Because I'm nowhere near the top. I've been doing this for years, and I'm nowhere near. I'm not even halfway. But I like to see people grow. Generally grow. There's a lot of people when they get big, they don't really want to know, but not me. I've said this before in my previous videos. I'm not going to go into it all the way now because today is about the debrief, specifically talking about Max Verstappen and Perez in their sectors. This is what we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about more today with Max Verstappen and the sectors and how Perez managed the tyres better than Max in qualifying and the race. So, Toto Hammer, I'm going to leave it to you. Go for it, guy.
Listen, all the big topic was about Sergio and, of course, Max. I think Sergio, to me, is way better in the street circuits than Max, and you can see that. He's better in the streets. The Sergio, Baku GP, was doing way better on his tires because Verstappen, every time he was going to go quick, his tyres were always going to overheat, and that cost him time.
Especially in Sector 1.
He can go fast in Sector 1, but Sector 2, Sector 3, it's going to cost him a lot of pace. Perez was always nailing Sector 1, and he weren't even trying. Mostly all races on the time management strategy.
Yeah.
And because, look, Sector 1, Verstappen sector was a 38.2, and Perez weren't even trying at Sector 1 and got a 38.0.
Yeah.
And at this track, it's all about
Perez, basically, Perez.
That's a key sector.
Basically, sorry to interrupt, but basically, Perez, this is what made him faster than Max Verstappen over the weekend. He was nailing that Sector 1 perfectly. He was going through there fast in Sector 1, and that was the key to unlock to beat Max Verstappen here, because Max Verstappen wasn't going as fast as Perez in that Sector 1, so he was eking at more heat in his tyres. And then when he got to Sector 2, his tyres were cooked. And this is what cost him, especially in qualifying as well, and the race. And Perez was always going to beat him in that race. And it doesn't matter about the safety car. I still think Perez would have had enough. So you can go through the sector times if you want for the people who didn't watch it, Toto.
Yeah, man.
Go on.
Sector 1, Verstappen got a 38.2, Perez got a 30.0 on the time management strategy. Verstappen Sector 2 got a 43.0, Perez got a 43.2. So you can see Verstappen was trying to push, but you can see Verstappen's tyres were going to get overheated. And Verstappen and Perez, Sector 3, both got 25.6, which leaded Perez to get the fastest lap. So you can see that Perez on the time management, and he nailed that Sector 1. That's what made him to get a faster lap than him. Yeah. And at that point, lap 8, Perez had the fastest lap of the race. The Verstappen, look, Perez is really good at street tracks, and even though Verstappen tried to adjust his driving style, can't really nail the tracks. And Perez always had one over him.
Max was struggling in Sector 1. The tyres were overheating in Sector 1. Even during the race, he was talking about it as well. Not just the qualifying, in the race in general. He was oversteering in Sector 1, and that's what cost him. And if you actually watch the race, which obviously we all did because we covered it over the weekend, you could see in the race that Perez was eking at, he was getting closer even before this, even before the safety car come out and changed. Obviously, the change position. You could see that Perez was slowly catching Max anyway. You could see because it was that Sector 1. He nailed it perfectly for the whole entire race. He was the fastest in that sector 1.
Yeah.
He nailed it. So when he got to sector 2, it was perfect. That's when he made up his time. Sector 3, they were basically the same because it's all straight. But sector 1 is where he was nailing the time. Now, I'm looking back at Monaco last year when he had when he was like that at Monaco. He loves the street tracks. Him and Charles Leclerc are probably the master at the street tracks. Now, if you was Max Verstappen, what could you have done? What could have you, if you was if Max Verstappen shoes, yeah, what could have you done to beat Perez that day? The only way you could have beat him is what? Sector 1? Obviously, I don't know. What you reckon?
The reason why Max lost because he made his pit stop right before the safety car because the yellow flags, or from the double yellows. I think it was either single yellow or double yellow. I think it was a double yellow flag.
Yeah.
And he made his pit stop right before the safety car, which allowed him to lose track position. And it was still under yellow flag conditions.
Yeah, but I think, I know, even after the safety, after the safety car, that's how Perez got in front. But I think even before the safety car, I reckon Perez would have caught him anyway. He was gaining on Max. He was gaining on him. It would have been nice to see Perez pass Max, obviously, for us as fans to see it. But obviously, the dreadful safety car come out. And that's what cost Lewis as well.
And you can see Verstappen, during the race, was struggling with his car. When Perez was catching him in the sector 1, all the sectors, every single lap, it was catching him by 2/10, 3/10. Perez was catching him quick, man. And then Verstappen was on the radio saying he was struggling with the rear of his car because every time before, like the 2 corners before the main straight, he always used to hit that barrier.
Yeah.
And which allowed him, his rear was spinning out a lot. And that's why he went on the radio saying that he had a problem with rear of the car. So that was a problem for Max. But listen, Perez just was the fastest driver.
He was the best overall, wasn't he? Obviously, Charles Leclerc got the pole, but obviously he didn't have the power overall to match the 2 Mercedes cars. Now, I thought Lewis was in a good position until the safety car again. Lost position to George. George came into the pits. That cost him. Lewis came into the pits. And then as soon as Lewis came into the pits, a full safety car come out. As always, perfect timing again. We lose his position, but he got his position back past George. I thought Lewis had a very good. I think Lewis had a good race. He done the best he could.
Considering that Lewis got the worst at the safety car reshuffle. That safety car messed up his race.
Yeah,
so he got the worst of the safety car. And he pitted before the safety car as he was in front of Russell. So Russell had the best of the safety car as he mostly had all season. And then Hamilton
had to claw his way back.
Of course, got the worst of the safety car. But the thing is, this is the greatness of Hamilton. He came back and he had a really good drive. Really good drive.
Obviously, he's not really petty like some of certain other drivers, throwing the dummies out of the pram, really. I thought Lewis had the best race he could. I thought Lando showed a bit of promise as well at the end when he passed. I think he passed Hockenberg at the end as well. I thought Lando had a good decent race. I think Lando, that the McLaren car is in a better place than it was 4 weeks ago. So good for McLaren. I've always got a soft spot for McLaren, not just because Lewis went there. I liked McLaren before Lewis went there. I just got a thing for McLaren. Obviously he's not all British team. It's a British team, and Ron Dennis to me will always be McLaren. Ron Dennis. Yeah, so McLaren, show his finger.
There was another point in the race.
Yeah.
There's another point of a race where Hamilton and Alonso were battling.
Yeah.
And then I think Hamilton's tyres were wearing out. Hamilton's tyres were dead then. I think it was on the medium. It was on the medium tyres, obviously.
Because of the balance of the car, maybe? The balance of the car could have caused that.
Yeah, probably. But I think the medium tyres were out of it. And then he pitted for the hards, of course, because hards better fitness. And, of course, it can last longer. Yeah. And Hamilton had to pit really, really early for lap 10, lap 11, because Alonso was catching in quickly.
Yeah.
So it was a good decision for Hamilton to pit to avoid losing track position and even avoid losing more time because Stroll was right behind as well. So
what was a bit interesting as well.
I think Hamilton made the right decision.
Yeah. Definitely. And I thought he'd done right in the race. And I think was what I thought was a bit interesting was when Max Verstappen was saying, this is before the race, that his neck rest come off and he had to come into the bit. This is even before anything started. He was complaining about his neck rest. I remember that. I don't know what all that was about. Probably being a prima donna like he always is. And yeah, basically before when I was, the safety car during qualifying as well, before the safety car, I think it was in the one of the races. I forgot, so many races this weekend, and I only came into the pit for about 10 minutes, and then when they came back, about 5 minutes, and when they came back out, it was 5 degrees cooler on the track, which is, that makes a lot of difference on a street track. And that was during the qualifying sprint race. I think it was qualifying. Listen, I'm getting mixed up with all these sprint races and qualifying and whatever, but it was during one of them, and I remember when the commentators stepped it out, was talking about it and said, I can't believe how the track went 5 degrees cooler within 5 to 6 minutes, and which it did. And that can cause, because you think about it, if you're a car, you're an engineer, you're getting your car ready to go out, and you got your settings ready for that track, and all of a sudden it changes temperature, then you're never going to get, you don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anything happened, but things could, especially on a street track. Yeah. Before we go, what do you think about that thing with Max Verstappen? And I know this is a debrief, but what do you think about that thing with Max Verstappen? Do you think Max Verstappen was in the right where him and George was going for that corner in the sprint race? Do you think Max Verstappen was right, complaining at the end, moaning? Go on.
Verstappen weren't right at all. He weren't right.
I know he was.
Russell had the line. He saw a gap, and he went for the gap. He didn't make no contact. And look, Russell, when he was going down the inside, he weren't turning the wheel into Max. Max was turning the wheel into Russell. Russell left him lots of space.
Yep.
Russell left him lots of space.
And Russell was actually in front.
Verstappen decided Verstappen should have held back.
Russell was in front.
Verstappen should have held back.
When Russell made that move, his nose is in front. And what does the great man always say? I'm going to play it on this audio. What does the great man always say?
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
There you go. If you don't go for a gap but don't exist, if you don't go for a gap but exist, you're no longer a racing driver. And he went for the gap, he saw it, and his nose is in front. So this is why the stewards didn't penalise George Russell. The only person that was whining was Max Verstappen. And even George said he was surprised when Max Verstappen came over to him and started moaning. And I was as well. Yeah. And that was it, man. That was the end of that weekend. I thought Perez done well. Perez deserved to win it. And hopefully Perez will come out in the next race, hopefully. And I want to see the battle. But obviously, look, Mercedes are not going to be in there yet. We'll have to wait till Imola and we'll see what upgrades they're going to bring to Imola, which is going to be very interesting. All eyes are going to be on Mercedes at Imola, not Miami, because they're not really bringing anything at Miami. I know that Aston Martin I think it was Aston Martin that brought a new floor. And Aston Martin was looking good in the race. That was looking good.
There's also 1 point in the race.
Now I said
I was going to say 1 point in the race.
Now I was going to say I like the team. Yeah. I like the teamwork between Alonso and Lance Stroll. I think they're very good teammates, and I think they're working very good together. Lance Stroll's got respect for Alonso, and Alonso's got respect for him. And I like to see that on track between two teammates. And I think that them two are a very good match. What are you going to say, Toto?
I was going to say that Mercedes. I think it was lap 44, 45, lap 44, where Lewis Hamilton was chasing down Sainz.
Yeah.
And I think Lewis Hamilton there was on a time management phase because I think one time was at 5/10 behind Sainz, and then next lap was 1.5 seconds behind Sainz. And then Lewis went on the radio saying, look, is there any chance he can give me more power? And then Bono said on the radio, we'll look into it, but I don't think Mercedes gave him that power because... No. At the end, they were getting closer and closer, but it weren't really enough. Sainz got in front of him in the end, but it was confusing because at one time it was close, one time was 1.5 seconds. Then towards the end of the race, he was under 1 second. So yeah, it was quite weird for me.
Lewis looks happy. He looks happy. You know, the car eventually will get there. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. They'll get there. I think we're gonna start seeing speed for Mercedes after Imola. I know Imola, they're bringing some big upgrades, and it's gonna be we're gonna see what's gonna happen. I've got faith in the team. I'm still a bit skeptical. I'm still going to be sitting on the fence a little bit, but I'm basically off the fence. I think it's going to do good. And I think after Imola, we're going to start seeing some ground making up. Maybe a couple of race wins this year, which would be nice. That's a prediction for Mercedes. They're going to try and go for race wins this year. I think come Silverstone, I think they could win a few races. And that will give them the momentum for next year. The W15 will give them momentum for next year. I heard a few podcasters yesterday who usually sits on the fence, and they was coming out yesterday and saying they've got faith in Mercedes that the car's going to be a race winner and a championship winner next year. And this person who was saying this never usually says anything. He's usually more reserved in his opinions. And but this time he said he's got faith in it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But it's been an interesting weekend. I'm not going to get into the debate about sprint races and no point what we say. They're never going to change. They're going to do what they're going to do. And this is me signing out, man. I'm going to be doing a flaming tarmac this week. I think it's going to be Thursday. Thursday or Friday, I'm going to be doing a flaming tarmac this week because I never done one last week. But look out for that on my channel. I know Toto's got some stuff coming up. He's going to tell you about it in a minute. Plus, we've got the football, which Toto will talk you about in a minute. So this is me signing out. Toto, you want to get the last word about what you're doing, what we're doing, football stuff?
Yeah, man. Of course, we've got match previews, watch alongs, player ratings, and all that this week when Liverpool face Fulham. And then, of course, I got some more videos coming up on my channel. Some karting videos where I improved 3 or 4 tenths of my time. I'm trying to get into that championship. I'm positive I can do it because I'm improving fast on the track. So yeah, man, that's going to be more coming up on my channel.
Yeah, that's it, man. Cool. So don't look out for tomorrow. We're doing the player predictions tomorrow on our channel with Liverpool, and we're doing a live watch along on Wednesday because Liverpool play Wednesday, and we'll be doing the player ratings on Wednesday evening as well. So look out for that on the channel. Like, subscribe. This is Toto Hammer and Solo P1 signing out on the Debrief episode 4 of the Azerbaijan GP race weekend. Like the video, guys. It's free.
Yeah, man.